Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us at the Challenger Face-Off number 2. My name is Nature. Joining me is Osigalus, and today we have Faculty versus Playing Ducks for you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to casting this game, man. Let's get straight into the champion picks and bans. We've got Xerath banned out first for Faculty and Yasuo for Playing Ducks. Both very strong champions in the current meta. We see them a lot in solo queue. Fizz coming out next again. Another very common mid lane ban in top level solo queue at the moment. Zed is also another one. All these bans so far being targeted at mid lane, which is interesting. No one's really trying to prioritize some of the other picks that we see being banned out a lot in solo queue, such as Lucian so far. Although at this point I imagine we're going to see the bans diversifying out into other roles, as you know, you don't want to focus everything in one lane necessarily.
And so the Aurelia coming through as well. And that means there's one ban left here on the table. Gnar coming through. That's slightly surprising to me, to be honest.
Well, Gnar has been seeing a lot of popularity in solo queue recently, and obviously since Worlds there hasn't been a great deal of tournaments to draw information from, so I think a lot of these players are trying to prioritize the solo queue bans, as that's what they'll mostly have been playing recently. So Gnar has been extremely popular in solo queue at the moment. He's good at split pushing, he's very good at punishing his lane opponent very safely, and with teleport he can roam down and do some great ganks. So I think that's a decent ban, but certainly one that we won't have seen in many tournaments up until this point. So first pick on Faculty is Corki, and that doesn't surprise me at all. He is one of the sort of top 3 AD carries, maybe top 2 AD carries would be Lucian and Corki at the moment, so seeing the Corki ban doesn't surprise me at all. I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw Lucian getting picked up here by Playing Ducks, as it sort of gives them the ability to pick something that they already know what it's going to be up against, and it's very strong, so we'll have to see what they go for. Not long left. Ooh, it looks like it's going to be Jace and Thresh. What do you think of those picks, Nature?
Yeah, so Jace has been seeing a lot of popularity since Worlds as well, I believe, so it's a good one in the mid lane, if they are going to use that one in the mid lane. Top lane is also a possibility, but I think it's a lot more popular in the mid lane, as far as we have seen, and Thresh is, of course, as long as he has been released, one of the top tier supports for as long as I can remember, actually. So a very strong pickup for Playing Ducks here so far.
Yeah, I have to say, I think both of these pickups for Playing Ducks are very strong. I do think it's interesting that they picked Jace in such an early rotation, because typically you want to pick him a little bit later on. It doesn't reveal as much about the type of composition you're going for, because Jace really excels at poke and pick compositions, and it kind of suggests that you're not going to be going for a dive composition very early, and it gives the other team a little bit more information than I think is necessary in the early stage of the pick and ban phase. So we do see Faculty going for Rengar and Nami next. I quite like these pickups. Rengar was shown to be extraordinarily effective in Worlds as well as in solo queue recently, and Nami has been gaining a lot of popularity as well. She has a good matchup against Thresh. That's one of the other important things. It's not a counter pick per se, but it is a very sort of strong skill matchup where if you outplay this Thresh you can really dominate, and vice versa. So it's a very neutral pick in that bot lane, but it's one which I think works quite well, especially when you know that they're not going to be going for a super aggressive bot lane most likely, because they've got that Jace pick, and that's most useful for, as I said, both picking and peeling compositions.
Yeah, sure. So for now, Playing Ducks going with the Jarvan IV in that jungle and Lucian in that bottom lane. If Faculty were to lock in the Akali here, that would mean they would have a very assassin-heavy team composition, which may be useful against a Lucian, against a Jace. But that would mean they would have to blow some people up pretty quickly, as they, of course, they don't have a real tank right now, but the Maokai could be becoming that tank, and they decide to switch out to the Orianna. So once again, the ball delivery system here coming into play with the Maokai, a Twisted Advance, and of course Rengar jumping on people's faces.
Yeah, I really like the fact that they decided to move away from that Akali pickup. This is a I think, a better composition when you're facing something like a Jace. It's going to allow them to be a bit more in control of the fights that they take, rather than having to find an opening with the Akali, which in late game might be a bit difficult if the enemy team is grouping up a lot. So I think this is a bit more reliable. It relies less on them getting ahead super far in the early game. It's much more of a conservative draft coming out of N Faculty than it would have been had they gone for the Akali pick. So looking across to playing Ducks, they've got one pick left open, and it looks like it might be a Rumble. That wouldn't be too surprising a pick. Rumble is considered to be a bit of a counter to Maokai in the top lane. Oh, they're actually swapping it out. Caster's Curse coming into effect here.
Yeah, indeed. It is going to be the Lissandra in the end. So no Rumble. Rumble versus Maokai is of course a matchup we do see quite often. Lissandra versus Maokai, not so much, primarily because Lissandra hasn't been so popular lately, but well, we are going to see her in this game, so I'm anxious to see how Koi is going to play on her.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting pickup, and it's not one that I would have expected to be particularly strong against Maokai, purely because she spams her spells so much that he is going to get a lot of free passive heals on his auto attacks. However, that might not matter if she can just abuse her range and really harass down the Maokai past the point where that matters. So it's also a nice pickup. It's relatively safe against the Rengar. She has a very strong escapes. She's got both the claw that lets her dash away, as well as the ability to root all the people around her, so if he jumps in, she can disengage quite quickly. That may have actually been the reason we saw the Lissandra come out rather than the Rumble. It would have been difficult to deal with the two fairly strong crowd control champions of Rengar and Maokai had Rengar decided to gank the top lane when there's a Rumble there. All he has is a speed up to get away and a slow. So Lissandra is a little bit safer. I think that's quite a good pick, and we didn't talk about the Jarvan being locked in, but I think that's one of the strongest junglers right now. I actually think both of these teams have very strong compositions.
Yeah, and that being said, we are going to head into a quick commercial break, but before we do that, I'm going to take a quick look at the poll we had in the chat just a moment ago. 68.4% of you voted in favor of Faculty for winning this game, so they are the crowd favorites here, and let's see whether they can make their the dreams of their fans come true here. In this case, we're going to go into game in a couple of minutes. Stick around. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Challenger Face-Off number 2. We are live on the Rift within Faculty versus Playing Ducks. We've had a little slight discussion beforehand about what we should do, but so far that resulted in us being slightly late into this game. But so far, nothing really spectacular has happened.
Yeah, I'd say the only important thing is that we see Faculty got a ward down quite deep on the enemy red buff. That might give them a little bit of early vision, and we actually see a coming ping, so it looks like we're that's from Playing Ducks. They're just going to go and defend that. Nothing really spectacular has happened. One thing worth talking about is some of the summoner spell decisions on the different players. We see that Perfect on Orianna picked up Ignite, which is a very interesting pickup on Orianna. Normally nowadays we see her running Barrier, Heal, or even Exhaust. Ignite isn't very common, but because she's up against a Jace, and Jaces typically run a defensive spell, I think she figured that it might be worth it for the ability to dominate the lane, especially past level 6, because early on, Jace, as one of the transforming champions, has very strong all-in past like level 3 to level 6, but at level 6, Orianna's really going to pull ahead in regards to that, so Ignite's an interesting decision. Jace kind of predicted it by going Barrier rather than Heal or Exhaust, which is quite interesting. Barrier obviously being better. Bot lane, we actually see a lot of aggression so far.
Yeah, a lot of aggression indeed. Mountain throwing out as much poke as he can, as is Cedron with his Phosphorus Bombs. So far, no one dropping very, very low, but both of these teams might want to be slightly careful in that bottom lane because they are going through their potions relatively quickly. Brookie now. Brookie. I have no idea how I should pronounce that name if I shouldn't pronounce it in Dutch. Is going to try and back off a bit. And, well, that means that the poking can go on. But so far, it doesn't seem like anyone is actually going to fall fatally low.
Yeah, even though there are a lot of potions being used on the side of Playing Ducks there, and they were poked quite low, there's an Ignite on Sazage, so if Faculty decide to go all in there, it might be a little bit risky, and Jarvan, actually using his Flag and Drag into the bush, he's going to come around behind the bottom lane of Faculty. This could be a very interesting fight. Here it comes.
Here it comes, Flash, and Flash on Mountain here. He's going to be in a lot of trouble. First blood goes over to Playing Ducks, but they might not be done here yet. Cedrion makes it out alive with his Valkyrie.
Yeah, that was a nice Valkyrie there at the end. I think he probably would have lived anyway, but that was a very nice gank coming out of Zonu Uzi. He predicted correctly that Rengar wasn't going to go bottom straight away after his buffs, so that was nicely timed, and having that lead in the bot lane is going to be very good for Brookie and Sazed, allowing them to really push in. Corki, you know, if he's not careful, could fall very far behind. At the moment, he's actually still ahead in CS, though, and didn't decide to go back after after Nami fell there. He was still relatively healthy and decided he didn't need to, so he's actually going to be doing a bit better on experience, having been the only one in the lane after Nami fell, and because he scales quite nicely with levels, Phosphorus Bomb does a lot of damage just by ranking it up, then he actually might be able to turn this around, so long as he can do it before Brookie actually goes back to base and uses the gold that he just got, Sazed uses the gold that he just got to get a lead. Xaxus in the top lane is kind of struggling against Koi, but we do see Rengar coming in here.
Yeah, there's a Bola Strike. Claw comes out. He is actually going to pick up the kill on Kiki's grave overestimation of his own strength, and he pays the price.
Yeah, that is not what you wanted to have happen if you're Faculty. Kiki's gave up a red buff to the Lissandra there, and obviously she can't make the most out of it. A blue buff would have been better. However, because she's ranged and Maokai is melee, she can consistently set off the procs, and that might be a way to get her. Oh man,
flash in, there's the hook up on towards him. Red buff is ticking. There you go. Koi gets himself his second kill. Cedrion is getting hammered on in the bottom lane, however. Lantern comes out. Cedrion will make it out alive.
Yeah, the red buff, I mean, I said she might not be able to use it appropriately, but Koi really put it to good use there, slowing Xaxus down in order to keep him in range, to keep the fight going. Brookie in the bot lane being so aggressive, just using his Relentless Pursuit to get in range to get double auto attacks, and we actually see Zoyan coming bot lane again behind the tower. It looks like we might see a dive from Playing Ducks.
This is some tricky stuff, but if it manages to work out, they are going to be so far in the lead. Doesn't seem like they're going to go for it in the end, however, as we do see Zoya and Uzi backing off. No, not in the end. He's just going to keep staying around here. Probably take some jungle camps, and if not, he may always be able to dive that middle lane even. But so far, he's just going to scout out a bit and play some wards.
He is returning back to that bottom lane. He sees that N Faculty's bot lane is a bit more pushed than they were previously, and Sazed coming forward here, he's going to try and get the flag.
Oh, there he goes. Zoyanuzi now going to try and move in there, but Cedrion uses the Valkyrie upwards, but Zoyanuzi is waiting for him. He's in so much trouble now. Sazed from that bottom side, he will be able to force a flash over the wall. And
meanwhile,
Cedrion
in the
makes
top
it out
lane, though, Koi is needing to be very careful here. He almost got ganked by Kikis, but did a really good E over into the jungle of N Faculty in order to get away. Very well played by him. Koi, by the way, 3 Doran's rings at 6 minutes. He is doing a lot of magic damage and really just keeping the pressure onto Xaxus. And in that bot lane, Brokey and Sazed look like they want to keep the pressure on. Hook trying to go out but not landing.
Yeah, with the hook on cooldown, that may allow N Faculty to put down some more pressure. And taking a look back at that top lane, Koi starting to pull out so far ahead. And of course, that is really what they want here. They don't want anything on Xaxus. And they want, well, of course, they want a lot of kills. But if they want it on someone, Koi is probably one of the best people to have it on. As a Fed Lysandra is going to be really painful against your team.
That's definitely true, and I think part of the reason she'll be so effective is that she can instantly blow up the Corki, and that's one of the main sources of damage coming out of N Faculty's team. And you can tell that N Faculty realize this. They keep sending Kikis up to that top lane. So far, nothing's come of it, but this time, it doesn't look like Koi is actually aware of it, and here he comes.
Ooh, Koi is going to be in some trouble. There is the claw coming out. Good bola strike on towards him. Twisted advance coming out as well. Koi throws out his ultimate. Is it going to be enough to save him? Flash comes out of Kikis, and it is not enough in the end.
Yeah, that was a great play by Kikis, waiting for the claw to arrive. He knew that he was going to have to bola her on that end of the travel if she decided to jump to it, which she did. So really good prediction play by there. Now bot lane, Sazed actually getting a little bit caught out here. Cedrion's doing a lot of damage.
Yeah. Throws out the hook. Cedrion using that Valkyrie defensively this time around. Sazed is not going to have anything of it, and Brokey is going to be there to help him out. 1,000 gold lead for playing Ducks. It is something, and well, when N Faculty are being considered the fan favorites here, this could very well be an upset win, but of course it is still way too early to tell.
Yeah, I mean, part of that the thing with that gold lead is that almost all of it is actually in the top lane with the 20 CS lead and 2 kill lead on Koi. Nowhere else really has a significant advantage, and I think that means that this game is still anyone's at this point. Obviously, in that bot lane, we do see that Lucian is slightly out-CSing Cedrion. However, oh man, Uzi needs to be careful invading like that. We do see a pink ward getting placed down now, so he's going to be able to realize when Jarvan is coming into that jungle, which will stop some of those ganks from behind the tower like we saw earlier. And it's getting to the point where Xaxus can actually clear waves very quickly in that top lane, which might make it a little bit easier for him to deal with Koi's Lysandra. All he needs to do is just wait till the wave hits the tower and then push it out really quickly with his spell rotation. And it's going to be difficult for Koi to find windows to keep harassing him like he was earlier. We actually see a gank coming in the mid lane though.
Oh, Avenue is going to try and get some damage down on Purified, but he does not realize Kikis is there. Does flash the shockwave. But this time it doesn't seem like it is enough either. Avenue goes down. Purefect picks up the second kill for his team.
Yeah, Kikis is doing a really good job of ganking. It was unfortunate that the shockwave missed, but they still managed to pick up the kill. And actually we see both of the junglers in the bot jungle here. Kikis might need to be a little bit careful. He did already burn some of his flash, so if he's not careful, things could go horribly wrong here. It looks like Playing Ducks is actually aware that he's here, and this might be a counter gank coming out of Uzi.
Ooh, Kik is jumping on towards Brokey. Counter gank is ready and waiting. As you said, Kik is jumping in once more. Sazed using his flash to dodge the bubble. There's no control. Is it going to be enough? Sazed now trying to move out. Tidal wave comes out. That is going to knock up 3. But in comes Koi. Mashes them up. Picks up 1. There's going to be 2 for the other team. However, Kik is now trying to move in as well. Playing Ducks trying to back out of this one. Picks up 1 kill for Brookie. Brookie now in some trouble. Says moving back in, and he is going to pay the price. And it ends up in a 3-4-2 after that messy, messy fight.
Yeah, that was absolutely crazy. Koi teleported down, manages to get a good ultimate, but because Cedrion got far enough away, he was able to do so much AoE damage with his rockets and phosphorus bomb that because Uzi and Koi had stood so closely on top of each other, that Zazis could cancel out all of the damage with his ultimate. The AoE damage from Cedrion was just absolutely melting everyone. And very quickly the fight turned around in favor of N-Faculty. So really nice play there, and we see that the gold lead has decreased from 1,000 to only about 300 now. So N-Faculty is doing a very good job of getting back into the game after their slight disadvantage early on.
They are indeed. Avenue has gotten himself a slight gold lead in that middle lane of around 12 so far. Now we do see both teams trying to get some vision control over that mid lane as they both start to put down wards, start to scan it with their sweepers. Kikis is waiting here on top of his pink ward to see whether he can probably contest if the Playing Ducks team start this one off, but I think that the Playing Ducks do realize that it may still be too risky to do so.
Yeah, I think the problem here is that because Koi can't teleport down, and Kikis and Cedrion are quite strong at the moment, it would be a little bit of a risk to go for a dragon right now. The only thing that they really had going for them was the fact that Kiki's ultimate was on cooldown. Not having that thrill of the hunt would make it a little bit difficult for N-Faculty to fight, but we are going to see a pause here. So whilst that's going on, I think we should talk a little bit about some of the item progressions that we're seeing. One thing that stands out immediately to me is that we see Orianna has picked up a very, very early Morellonomicon.
Yeah, she has indeed. That's going to give her, of course, some extra cooldown reduction, and the mana regeneration isn't too bad either. It's, I guess it's nice to spam her skills against a Jace, especially, because then you'll be able to put down some pressure, and Jace can be quite the lane bully.
Yeah, it makes a little bit of sense in that respect, and I think really just giving her the early cooldown reduction to push the wave when Jace can push it so effectively with the accelerated shockwave is accelerated Q is one of the reasons why it's a decent pickup. It's also relatively low gold for a decent amount of combat statistics, so she's making it so that in these early game fights she can do a little bit more, rather than rushing for something a little bit more potent like a death cap, which isn't going to provide as much as quickly. Also, you often see Orianna's going for... Oh, hang on, bot lane, we see a Thrill of the Hunt coming out.
Ooh, Kiki's going in there on towards Brookie. Brookie just gets deleted by Kiki's now. Saves is the next focus. Throws down the box, hooks in Kikis, but he is no longer the third focus. Cedrion just moving in there. Say's trying to do what he can, and he will not even be able to pick up the return kill on Cedrion, or he actually might with the help of his minions. Cedrion moves into the brush, and he'll be safe.
That was incredibly close. It was very well played by Sazza to try and pick up that recurrent kill, but the tower aggro had swapped at the last second onto Cedrion. He managing to get away into that bush at the last second as well. Very solid play coming out of N-Faculty. And this is one of the reasons why we see Rengar as such a highly contested pick in a lot of high-level games right now. He is just so good at ganking. Moves into the lane so quickly with the mobility boost, plus Thrill of the Hunt's movement boost even. And because he's stealthy, he just jumps on you, instantly deletes someone because his Q does so much damage, and can snowball the game so effectively. So I think that was a really great pickup, and it does look like we're going to see a dragon attempt coming out of Playing Ducks, so they know that Rengar is not around.
Yeah, they do realize that he's not around still. It is, or he is actually around. Shockwave comes in, and instantly Purefect manages to take out Zoyle's Uzi. As we do see, Say's in trouble now. That's 2 kills so far. 2 for Dragon, not too bad, but it could have been a lot better.
Yeah, that was, oh man, Kiki's here.
Kiki's jumping on towards Avenue. Kiki is baiting back and forth, jumping on towards Brokey now this time round. Trying to turn that damage back around, and Brokey rather, will be able to make it out alive of this one. Kiki is going very deep there.
Yeah, he is quite far ahead of them. Oh man! Avenue, what a great Q there. Top lane, Koi's trying to dive, but he's out of mana.
He is out of mana indeed. Let's see what he can make of this one. Actually, he doesn't have a lot of options beside running here. Ward comes out, Koi and a flash and a twisted advance. Azaz picks up the kill, 10-5.
Yeah, I mean, returning a little bit of the over-aggression that we saw Kiki's making early on, right back in favor of N. There, it was really, he couldn't afford to dive that deep when he had such low mana. Xaxis is obviously very tanky at the moment with that Rod of Ages, plus the fact that he heals quite frequently with his passive and has damage reduction on his ultimate. And Koi, you know, maybe just remembering when he was really strong earlier on, thought he could take him down too quickly there, and we see Kiki's coming in bot again!
Once again, it is Kiki's time here, ladies and gentlemen. Jumps straight on towards Roki, but here's a teleport coming in. This could be bad. Kiki's trying to move on towards his turret. Koi locking him up. There's the ultimate on towards him, and he goes down after a couple of seconds. Zaz is coming in here as well. May be able to use a twisted advance. There's a sapling. Should be able to do it. No, not quite, but Koi moves back, and he will be able, or he will go down after a couple of seconds as well.
Xaxis did a really good job there at the end of cancelling his auto attack like twice, just to make sure that Cedrian could pick up the actual kill gold for that. So now Cedrian, 4-0-3, he's got his Triforce. He is starting to hit like an absolute truck, and I'd be very worried if I was playing Dux right now. These early game fights, when you have a Corki with Triforce versus a Lucian without even finishing one of his complete items yet, are going to be very, very dangerous.
Perfect, getting hit by another shock blast there out of Avenue's rifle hammer thing. And well, Perfect will just keep pushing up this lane. We do see a tower going down in that bottom lane. Mountain is going to spot out Zoyan Uzi, which is not ideal because at that point they know where he is. That means they can predict where he is going. Do they have vision on him? No, they don't at the moment, so they don't know he's recalling. But
Kiki's.
Actually,
He needs to be careful here, not to bite off more than he can chew. Koi is very strong right now, 2 levels above him. If Kiki's goes in without the support of Xaxis, I don't see any way he can really win that fight currently. Although Koi's ultimate is down, that might be a slight window for them to make something happen here. Koi walking back in.
Yeah, and there's a twisted advance. Koi using the claw to try and get out of that one. Throws down that Q. There's a sapling. Is it going to be enough damage? It doesn't seem like it. Zoyan Uzi is going to try and help him out. Backer comes in there. Koi now moving back towards his turret. He's so low. Meanwhile, that mid lane, Avenue going very, very low as well. Action all around the board here. Playing Dux in trouble everywhere, it seems. But in the end, no kills go down.
Yeah, that was a lot of action for not a lot of result, but both teams really doing well. And Faculty not really aiming the bola properly. Kiki's missed that onto Koi, and had that landed, almost certainly would have been a kill, but Zoyan Uzi getting there in time to save his life there. We still see a bit of an advantage for N Faculty here. They've got 2 turrets up to 0, as well as their gold lead, now 3 turrets up to 0. And we really need to see some good fights getting picked here by playing Dux if they don't want to have this game just slowly snowball against them.
Yeah, so far and Faculty is starting to gather a quite significant lead here. They are playing really, really well, and playing Dux are having some trouble dealing with them. Obviously, this game is far from over, and the playing Dux don't seem to be going down without a fight, so see what we will have here in the next couple of minutes. Perfect getting hit by another shock blast, and well, so far Dragon coming up in another minute and a half or so, so we might see another fight erupting right there.
Yeah, I imagine that will be the next major point of contention for both of these teams. It's very difficult for playing Dux to actually push towards a tower right now. They don't have the best of siege compositions. Lissandra, although she does have very low cooldown poke, it's not very long range, so it's difficult for her to actually siege a tower. The only one who can really do it effectively on playing Dux team is Jace, and he's not really strong enough right now to be enough of a threat that they can go on a siege, especially when Kiki's can just use the ultimate and engage straight away with an Orianna Bola on him. So Dragon's up in 40 seconds. We already see lots of pink wards coming down for N Faculty. They know that they need to get this vision up as soon as possible. And if we look at the overall vision, in fact, look at how far back playing Dux wards are. They are all on their side of the jungle. They know that they can't really move past the equal part of the map right now because N Faculty is just a bit too strong, and this blue buff might be the next fight.
Oh, Kick is looking for Broke here, and oh, he's actually not going to be able to get him. Shockwave comes through, only going to hit Zoyanuzi, but he is still very low. He will go down. Stays now in the backside, getting caught out by Cedrion. That may very well be the second kill here, and it seems like it is. Hook comes in, doesn't quite hit it, and the rocket out of Cedrion will be able to finish him off. Cedrion picks up the kill, 2 for 0 so far, and that is surely going to be the Dragon.
Very nicely played by N Faculty. You can just see how strong Kiki's is. He can just engage by himself. Once Pure Effect got there, the ultimate really stopped anyone from running away properly. And Brokey was so low that he had to leave the fight without doing hardly any damage. In this top lane though, Koi trying to take advantage of them being by Dragon to push the bot tower. Zaz is actually going in.
Zaz is going in, indeed. He's going to get locked up by Koi. There's the ultimate coming out of him. Actually, that's going to do a lot of damage, but is it going to be enough? Zaz is using the Twisted Advance. Still has his Arcane Smash, but he will be forced to flash out of this one. Mountain now coming in to help. There is the Glacial Path, and Koi will be able to make it out alive with a little bit of a scratch.
Yeah, the Morellonomicon actually did a really good job at winning that fight for Koi. Maokai got one of his heal passives off at the end of the fight, but because the healing was reduced by 40%, by the Grievous Wounds passive, it wasn't really able to heal him from that much, and he had to back away from that fight very quickly. And we actually see a bit of a push up here from Playing Ducks. They're starting to move their wards into the jungle of N Faculty. They somehow feel a little bit more confident than they did prior to that blue buff fight. I'm not entirely sure why, because they lost that very convincingly. They need to be careful not to get a little bit too overconfident here. And Cedrion, I just want to bring attention back to him. He is so strong right now. He's got that BF sword on top of his Trinity Force, and at the moment, no one is being successful about locking him down. So the first fight where we see Koi come down now is going to be a big deal. Here we go!
Say is now looking for a kill on towards Cedrion. Cedrion might get sandwiched here. Avenue not going to hit the Shock Blast. That might be detrimental to his fighting capability here. Cedrion trying to move out of that one. We want that mid lane. Pure Effect getting locked up. Zaz is now taking quite a bit, who's actually dealing quite a bunch of damage. We do see Zoya going down first. Avenue going in there is going to pick himself up a double kill. Is it going to be enough for them to win the fight? That is the question here, of course. Doesn't seem like a double kill so far for Cedrion. Moves in. Sace is going to go down. It's an ace for N Faculty.
Wow, that was absolutely awesome. We saw Avenue land a 4-man accelerated shockwave towards the end of that fight, which did so much damage to the members of the faculty standing inside of Jarvan's Cataclysm. But Cedrion, just doing so much damage in the backline, all by himself, flashed forward onto that tower to pick up an easy double kill. And this is going to be a 22-minute inhibitor coming out of N Faculty. They are in commanding lead of this game with 6k in their favor.
Yeah, they have definitely grasped control of this game, and it seems like they are not going to let that one slide anytime soon. Playing Ducks moving back in here, may be able to get a hold of someone in their jungle. Zaz is not going to clear out that pink ward. He makes a mental note of that one and then moves back out because of course he does not want to get caught here. Zoyanuzi going to take a sapling to the face, clear out some more wards, and the Playing Ducks right now are trying to re-establish their position on the map, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, they really just need to get some more ward coverage down. At the moment, all of it is kind of not in useful locations. That bottom side jungle for N Faculty is just coated with Playing Ducks wards, but Playing Ducks aren't going to that area. I mean, basically, they warded it thinking that they wouldn't lose that fight in mid lane, I think, and then when they lost it convincingly, they've now wasted, you know, a ton of gold on wards that they're not really getting any effect out of. So Playing Ducks really need to focus on warding the Baron area right now, or their own jungle, because that's the area where most of their picks can come from, as N Faculty tries to push up the map and get something in their jungle, get something on Baron, or maybe siege one of the top or bot lane towers. At the moment, though, it's actually interesting. N Faculty is just content to send 2 members to the bot lane. They actually are expecting someone to come try and contest Zaz's split push, and they're sending Kikis down there to try and deal with that. However, so far, no one's really responding to that. They're just more concerned about Baron on the side of Playing Ducks.
Yeah, in that bottom lane, Kikis and or Zaz's and Kikis indeed, as you said, pushing up. Baron is on the board here. Dragon coming up in another 1 minute and 40 seconds, so we might see some vision control being established over there as well. Playing Ducks really not wanting to leave their watch so to speak, near that Baron, because if they do, they are really, really afraid of Faculty sneaking that one from right under their noses. Dances, however, still pushing up in the bottom lane, dealing a lot of damage to that turret, and Cedrion is going to take
oh man,
deal some
Koi's
damage.
coming in here, going on to Xaxus.
Yeah, he's going in indeed. Kikis dealing a lot of damage. Koi using that Zion's Hourglass. Kikis will be forced to jump out of this one. Koi being able to defend his turret. That is really, really good for him. Sazed and Avenue moving in here. There's your Glacial Path. Flash comes out of Kikis. Sazed still moving after them, but he's not able to catch them in the end. And that is going to allow Faculty to push up the top lane.
That was really solid play from Faculty. The patience from Kikis was absolutely amazing. He waited behind Xaxus there for about 2 minutes without getting anything. No minions, no gold, no experience, nothing. But by being there, it allowed them to take that top tower and almost pick up a kill on Koi had it not been for the rest of his team coming in there. So I'm very impressed by that strategy coming out of Faculty. They're just playing it so safe right now. They're playing conservatively, but when you're this ahead and it's your game to lose, that's exactly what you can do to stay in the lead. And they're doing such a good job of that. You can really see how experienced they are as a team when they do strategy calls like that.
Playing Ducks now once again trying to establish the vision control in their own jungle, which is so painful because of course it is, well, the jungle you would wish to own. And oh, haven't you? Let's act as if no one saw that. Misplacing a ward right there. However, Faculty are going to take down this dragon uncontested, and that is going to probably increase their gold lead by around 1,000, which is going to be a 7,000 gold lead.
Fun fact, prior to Koi taking down that pink ward, all 5 members of Faculty had placed that pink wards on the map. Their vision control this game is insane, but they're trying to go on Koi in the bot lane right now.
Ooh, there's the thrill of the hunt. Not going to be able to catch up to Koi. However, now Cedrion trying to trade a bit with Avenue right there, but Kikis still trying to go in here. Avenue may be in trouble. Kikis is so strong at the moment. Can probably instantly delete Groki. Some more shock blasts coming out. Cedrion dodging the death sentence. And it seems like they are just going to try and brute force their way through this inhibitor. And so far, the Playing Ducks, to be honest, don't have a lot to say about it. That inhibitor is around 50% health. Koi going to move in down towards Kikis. Kikis will go down. Oh, actually might not go down. Purific picking up the kill on Zion Uzi from the backside. Avenue trying to do what he can, but it is not enough. Now Zaz is moving in. Koi is going to be their next target, and he will go down 3 for 0. Inhibitor going down once again, and Faculty looking really strong.
That was such a good shockwave from Pure Effect. He timed it exactly when Koi's Zanyas ended so that Kikis could move out of there safely. And had it not been for that, I imagine Kikis would have died there. The fight, I still think, would have gone in favor of Faculty, but you can really just see they're not letting any advantage go the way of Playing Ducks in these fights so far. And now they're going to try and go for this Baron.
Ooh, this could be risky for both parties, I'd say. Obviously, Avenue doesn't have a lot to lose, but he doesn't want to go down. He's not going to try and steal it, or he may have wanted to try and steal it, but it was slightly too late. Throwing out another shock blast right there.
Oh, thrill of the hunt.
The thrill of the hunt coming in indeed. Let's see what he can do. Jumps on towards Avenue. Avenue taking so much damage, but it is way too much for Kikis when there's 4 members on top of your head. Now they're moving in. Cataclysm comes down. Xaxus in all kinds of trouble. He does have the Baron buff, and he's so tanky. Nothing, almost nothing they can do about it. As I say that, they deal so much damage. He will go down in the end. Now Pure Effect getting hooked in back there. Says in a lot of trouble. Cedrion will be able to chase him down with the speed buff of the bubble. And he is legendary, 3 for 2. And still a Baron buff on the members of Faculty.
That was absolutely crazy. Kikis went in there thinking they could pick someone up very quickly. Oh wow, we're going to see a surrender vote actually.
Wow,
Holy
did
cow.
not quite expect that one. Right then,
Yeah.
that was game 1 for Faculty then, in a very commanding fashion after a strong start of Playing Ducks. Maybe Playing Ducks want to push on their strong lead, or try and push on their strong lead next time, but they didn't play bad, if I can say so.
No, they definitely didn't play bad. I understand entirely why they decided to go in for that fight at the end. There was no mana on Cedrion or Purefect, but suddenly they got just the small amount that they needed to use their AoE, and suddenly everyone evaporated on playing Ducks. So